This is Ryan Farley with customerfx. In this third video in the SalesLogix Mobile Developer Series, we're going to take a look at how to take a previous customization that we added into the mobile product and add it into Application Architect so that we can deploy it normally and even bundle it up. In our previous video, we added this custom field here, just called New Field 1 in the More Details section on the Account Detail and Account Edit pages. We're going to take that customization and add it into the Application Architect. And we're going to actually do that twice. One is an automated way to make that easier in SalesLogix version 8 that isn't available in previous versions. So because it's not available in previous versions, we're also going to do the manual steps to add it in there so that you can add the same customizations in for SalesLogix version 7 and have things still work normally. So first of all, let's take a look, just a quick review of what we added in our previous video. We created a mobile development environment. We created this Argos custom product, and then in there we had an application module, and this is our code here. Now these other files that are in this directory are still important. These are things that indicate the configuration or how it connects to SData, and also a build script. This build script, it allows you to minify all the JavaScript so that it's a little bit less bandwidth taken up in getting that to the mobile device. So if I wanted to, I could execute this build script myself. So in this build folder, there's a batch file, and it'll run a build and give it this configuration file, this JSB2 file. This was created for us, all of these files were created for us by the Mobile Developer Toolkit. And this describes some things about the our customization, such as where are the files and how it would minify that and make it into a smaller optimized file. And that's what this file describes basically. And I could run this batch file and create this deployment file if I wanted to do that manually. So the Mobile Developer Toolkit also puts a batch file here in the root of your mobile development environment. I could execute that and create a minified version. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. Now this is just for an example. We don't need to do this to put it into Application Architect. But on that same note, we don't necessarily have to use Application Architect for SalesLogix Mobile at all. If I wanted to create my own mobile environment and then I just manually wire up the customizations, I can certainly do that. There's no reason not to. The benefit of using Application Architect is you have kind of a way for storage and delivery that is a little bit more how you expect to deliver a SalesLogix customization. So with that in mind, let's just take a look at what that batch file did. It created these folders for us here. The main one that's important to us is under Content and JavaScript. These are the two. It took that application module JavaScript file and it minified it into this one right here. So nothing pretty. You can see all the white space has been removed. If I wrap it, it's certainly not as readable, but it does take up less space. This file size is going to be smaller than the original one was. So that's what that batch file did. And the reason why that's important to understand, like I said, you don't need to do that to put it in an Application Architect, but the Application Architect does a similar process to that, and we'll need to wire up our build commands into that so that it knows what to do. So now I mentioned there was an easy way to do it in SalesLogix version 8. So we're going to look at that first, and then we're going to do all the things that's automating for you and do it manually, because that's how you'll do it in SalesLogix 7.5.4, for example. So in the Application Architect, I bring up my mobile portal, and it has a tab that's different than other portals and different than how SalesLogix 7.5.4 looks on this same screen. This Custom Modules tab. So one of the things in our custom product, that Argos custom, one of the files that was created for us by the Mobile Developer Toolkit is this module-info.json. So if I open that up, I can change information about my customization, give it a description, a display name. It used these based on what I chose as my product name in the Mobile Developer Toolkit. I'm targeting the SalesLogix product on my Argos stack that I'm deploying this to. So the reason why that's important to note is that I can point the application architect to this file and it'll pull all the rest of the files in automatically for me. So if I close that, go back over to the application architect, this custom modules tab, click the plus button, and I get a browse dialog. And I can browse right to my mobile development environment root, and then in products Argos custom. That JSON file we were just looking at, module-info.json, if I select that and click add module, in a second we'll see it listed right here, and if I click it, here's all those values from that file we were looking at. But more importantly is under the source files tab, now our Argos custom folder exists, and all of those files that were in that folder exist as well. Our source file, we can open that up, that application module. Here's all that customization code we created in our previous video. So now that that's in there, one thing to note is that when I deploy my mobile portal, I can opt to include this customization or not based on just checking this box. If I uncheck this box like it is now and deploy my mobile portal, it won't include this customization. So it's kind of a nice way to be able to test something without the customization or turn it on and add it. So I do want to include it, so I'm going to check that box, and now I can save it and I can deploy my mobile portal. And it's essentially what the application architect is doing when I added that custom module is it created some things in a build script that, just like what we were looking at, that build folder on our custom module, it created something like that, and that's what it just executed to minify our things and wire it all up. We're going to do all those steps manually in a minute. But if I look at the deployed production site that we just deployed this, and go under content, JavaScript, here's my Argos custom. That's our code we just added. Our configuration is also listed under the configuration, then custom, and here's our files. So those are all now there, and if I go to here's the SalesLogix Mobile, not our development environment, the actual production deployed version, and I can see that there is no field down here, and I'll refresh it, and now log back in, go to the account area, and expand more details. I may not have refreshed it. Let's do that one more time. And there it is. So there's the new field one that was just put into Application Architect and deployed. So now if we were going to bundle that, actually let's come back to bundling after we looked at all the manual steps, because that'll make sense of what things you've touched. But I could always just create a new bundle on a change of date, and if I select today's date and just an hour ago, it'll bring in all those changes that it did automatically for me. So that's an easy way to bundle all that stuff up. Let's go look at how to do that manually. And I could do all these same manual steps in SalesLogix 8. I don't have to use that automated way. I don't know why I would, but that is certainly possible. I'm going to flip over to another VM. This is a SalesLogix 754 system, and I have mobile installed. It's mobile 2.0, and I don't have that custom module tab here in this environment, so there's no way to do that easy. Just browse for it and suck it in that way. I have a mobile development environment created here and an Argos custom product, and in this one it's just the default that is created by the Mobile Developer Toolkit, where it just modifies the type label on the account detail screen to be type X. That's what we're going to be bringing in. So essentially what we're going to need to do is recreate this Argos-custom folder structure inside of Application Architect. So that's our first step. So here under Products, we're going to right-click and add a new folder. It's going to be called Argos Custom. And underneath that, we'll need to go Argos Custom. We have Build, Configuration, and Source folders. So now I can add in those files, so I'll browse out to my development environment. There's my Argos Custom. First of all, I'll add these two files into the root of it. Now I'll add in the files from the build folder. It's a little tedious doing this. If I had my SalesLogix model exported to the file system, this would be much easier. I could just copy them into the right location for that. That'll be a topic for another video, though. And the last file here, the application module into the source folder. Okay. Now all the files are there. So that's part one of this. Now we have to do two more steps. One is we have to modify that build script. That I mentioned before, there's that build script. The Mobile Developer Toolkit creates this build script here for us automatically, but this is only for our product. We need ours to be kind of built with the rest of SalesLogix. So there's already a build script in here that's going to get executed when we deploy our portal. So if we look under the Argos SalesLogix folder and look in the build folder there, and then look at the release.jsb2 file, open that up. It lists here a project name, which is SalesLogix Mobile, and underneath that are all these packages. Our customization is just another package. So what we're going to do is scroll all the way down to the end of that section. It'll be right before the resources file, resources section right here. So we have, this is the, right here, this is the end of the last package in the list here. So essentially what we need to do is add in our package. And we can do that really easily with the script that was created for us by the Mobile Developer Toolkit. If we look in that build folder, there's a release.jsb2 file. If I open that up, here's the same thing, this our project and our package. All we need is the package. So I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to go over to Application Architect and paste that in. So right here is the end of the package before it. Put a comma and then paste in our package. We're going to do the same thing for the configuration in the resources. So we'll just take just this resource right here, and then we're going to add it into the resources section here. Put a comma after the last one, paste it in. Now one other thing that we have to change here. This build script was built assuming that it was going to be run in the context of our custom module. That's not going to be the case once we've added it into that one in Application Architect. So we need to tell it how to find our files. We've told it that it needs to build this file and it's going to be found in this path. This path is what's not going to be right here. What this path will do is, if we look in our mobile portal. So if we look here, it's going to be run from the context of this build folder right here. So going back one folder and then into a source folder, we'll put it here. That's not where our stuff is at. Our stuff is back here into this folder. So what we need to do is go back yet another folder and then into Argos-custom and then into the source folder. And then we need to do that same thing here for our configuration. Go back yet one other folder and then into Argos-custom and then in the configuration folder. If we wouldn't have made that change, essentially it would have built the wrong file. Our customizations would never have shown up because we would have built whatever exists in those locations in the out-of-the-box product. Also, if we were to mistype something here, like let's say we mistyped a folder name or pointed it to some file that doesn't exist, we would actually get errors in the output window as we deployed our portal. So that's useful to look at that and to make sure you haven't pointed it to something that doesn't exist. But that's all good, so we can save that now. Right now, if we were to deploy this, Application Architect is going to push out our files, it's going to build them and minify them just like it does everything else, and it'll be there. What we haven't done yet is the step that tells the SalesLogix Mobile to load our stuff, and that we have to modify one file. Okay, so back here in Argos SalesLogix, if we look at the index.html, this is the one and only actual physical page in the entire mobile website. So we just have to add a few lines here to this. Because I am using SalesLogix 7.5.4 with Mobile 2.0, I do have the backward compatibility module already in here. But this module section, this is where we're going to list our module. And all we have to do is, just like this line is right here, is we just have to list our JavaScript file. So our JavaScript file is now going to, at the point when this index.html gets loaded, it's going to exist at the same place where our build file told it to exist. And that if we're unsure, we could look at the deployed mobile product here. We have content, JavaScript. Here's where all those things end up. So ours is going to be content, JavaScript, Argos dash, whatever our module name was, which ours was just called custom. So that's step one. This will load that application module. Then we just have to tell it what configuration to load in for us, which we'll put just right in this configuration section, a comma, and then we'll add in configuration.custom, which is our module name. That would be whatever we named that. We just left ours named custom, and production. So that is it. And this is all ready to go. So this tells it to load the module. This tells it the configuration we're using, which is the production one. So now I can save all this and deploy, and our customizations should be there and ready and intact. Okay, so let's test that out. I'm going to go here and deploy my mobile portal. Okay, so now it's deployed. I should be able to go and load this up here. Make sure I do a refresh there. And there it is, type X. So it did load in our customization. Let's look at how we would bundle that up. If we were to just do a bundle off of a change date, and we're going to look at today's date, and I'm just going to go back, say to there we go. Go back to 8 o'clock. We'll just do it from there. Okay, So let's give that a try and see what we get in there. While it's creating that manifest for us, we can talk about what files it does need to include. This Argos-custom folder right here, obviously all of that needs to get into the bundle. And then from Argos SalesLogix, we need two files here. One is the index.html, and the other is that customized build script, that release.jsb2 B2 file. Those are the items that we changed. So that's what needs to get added in here, and that's what we're expecting will get brought into our bundle manifest automatically. But essentially, that's all we need to do. So if I were going to deliver this, I could then create that bundle, save it, and they would just install that bundle, deploy their mobile product, and the customizations would be there. So here is what it created. Looks like it got didn't get everything. It didn't get. Maybe we didn't put the time back far enough. It didn't get the Argos-custom folder. It did get the build script. It did get the index.html. But if we want to make that complete, we would just drag over the Argos custom. And there's our Argos custom. So this is complete, and we could now just right-click Create Bundle. The blog post that will accompany this video will outline some of these steps for you, so you can refer back to have a shorter list rather than watch the entire video again. So check customerfx.com and you'll see the blog post there. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.